It's been an interesting week in the cruise industry. The week started with the CDC issuing an order saying that cruise lines couldn't sail in U.S. waters and couldn't use U.S. ports for 100 days from the date of the issuance of the order.
Welcome to Traveling with a Chair. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Ken Edmonds, and on this channel I help people travel more, spend less, and I provide information that's helpful to those that travel with a disability.
And that puts cruising on hold according to the CDC then. That was bad news for the cruise industry. Most of them had anticipated trying to sail in May or early June. Now they're in a situation, like I said, it could be end of June, early July before they can sail. Carnival came out and canceled their sailings through the end of June. They, at that point in time, they're hoping to be able to start to resume some operations. Princess announced yesterday afternoon that they're going to cancel some of the cruises for Alaska entirely. All of the cruise tours, all the Gulf of Alaska cruises for Princess have now been canceled. And shortly after that, Holland America announced the cancellation of those same venues. They realized that there was no way to make a profitable season operating the lodges and the trains and all of those, which basically means that 3,500 people in Alaska that would have worked for Princess and Holland America will no longer have any opportunities for this summer up there. Princess is still hoping to operate 2 ships out of Seattle, assuming we can get Canada open and the Port of Seattle opens back up. They're still expecting to run 2 ships on 7-day itineraries to the southern part of Alaska. So in effect, pretty much the entire Carnival fleet now is standing down until the end of Royal Caribbean hasn't announced any additional cancellations, though the odds favor they're going to have to, because with Royal Caribbean, they're going to be under the same order, the same 100-day order of not sailing in the U.S. at least. And most of the other countries are probably going to be as restrictive, or even more restrictive than that. There was an announcement today that they're going to lay off a significant portion of their U.S. employees, so that's going to be pretty hard on the Miami area. A lot of those people work in Miami, and it's going to take a pretty good hit. Some of them will be on furlough and with a chance of coming back. Others are just permanent layoffs. So that's bad news. We haven't heard anything out of NCL yet. I think that they're going to be in the same situation. I don't think they're going to have a choice. You know what? I take it back. So we did hear one thing from them, and it affected me. I had a sailing on the Norwegian Sun going to Alaska, and the Norwegian Sun Alaska season has been canceled in its entirety. They're repositioning the Sun, and I didn't look to see exactly where it's going, but it's not going to sail in Alaska this year at all, and that's a real shame because it had some amazing itineraries. It was interesting on CNBC yesterday. The CEO of Carnival talked for probably about 15 minutes, and I would say that his outlook for this year's season was not particularly positive. You didn't hear him say, "Oh, we're going to start sailing in June. You know, can't wait to start sailing." He was much more reserved than that. You know, and he made the point, and I think this is a valid point: is cruising can't resume until the need for social distancing stops. You think about it, for those of you that cruise, like I do, trying to stay 6 feet away from everybody on a cruise ship is going to severely limit your ability to do anything. So I think that is going to be a real factor. We've got to get the coronavirus under control, and where we no longer have a need for social distancing. That's going to be one of the key pieces to starting back up. I think, you know, and I've been looking at the news, and I think we're going to see quite a few changes in how people cruise and in how cruise ships operate. It was interesting. I watched some video with Princess Cruise Lines Vice President of Sales today, and he talked about the fact that when cruising does resume, and when things are where we can start to cruise again, that there are going to be changes on board that will be designed to enhance safety. You know, some of the things are infrared screening of passengers. They talked about the possibility that buffets will no longer operate as self-service venues. That what probably will happen is that they will serve the food to you. And I think that is actually a really good change because it reduces point of contact where you're touching the same thing somebody else is touching all of the time. So I think that has a good chance of being a positive impact not only for coronavirus but also norovirus and other things that get spread that way. He said that in jest that they might have to get professional wrestlers to make sure that everybody sanitize their hands going into and out of all of the food venues. Again, I think that is a very important step in the right direction. I don't know that it would have impacted coronavirus at all, but I think that enhancing sanitation is important. I think too you're going to see a lot more cleaning on the ships, so the staff spending more time cleaning the rooms, more time cleaning railings and buttons and things that people touch to reduce the spread of disease. The one thing that may affect me negatively, I'm not quite 70, but one of these days I will be, and it's closer than I want, is we may start to see, for those of us that are senior citizens, there may be more stringent requirements, including possibly doctor's notes, to let us get on board a ship. Just to make sure that when we get on that we're medically qualified to travel and to reduce the probability that something might happen to us. And that, again, like I said, it may be inconvenient and it may wind up impacting our ability to travel. That's going to be a negative thing for some of us. But for the industry, I think it's going to be a good thing. One thing that was also interesting that was mentioned in some of the news reports that I've seen was the fact that quite probably what's going to happen is that in the enhanced screening at the cruise ports, if you're sick, they're not going to let you on the ship, but they are going to give you a refund. Where in the past, if you couldn't get on the ship, you lost your money. Well, they realize that that actually incentivizes people to go ahead and cruise when they're sick. So now they're going to take the posture that they're going to do what they can so that if somebody is sick, that they don't get on board and risk contaminating the ship and spreading something to everybody else. Again, like I said, it's been a momentous week. We've got more interesting weeks ahead in the cruise industry. That's your cruise news. We'll see.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy, please go ahead and hit the like and the subscribe buttons. We've got a lot more videos coming up. You're really going to enjoy them. We'll see you next time.